It appears as though the New Orleans Saints might be in a little bit of trouble regarding one of their focal points on offense. And it's not Michael Thomas because Michael Thomas got locked into a contract. It's not Drew Brees because, well, Drew Brees is also locked up in a contract. However, Alvin Kamara might be a little bit of a problem. Now, before we get to that, guys, make sure you are following me on twitch.tv/FlightMike. I'm going to begin doing my modded simulation starting from the year 2003 all the way to the current NFL day. We have all the draft classes, and frankly, I think this is going to do wonders in trying to shine a light on the importance of Madden franchise mode. I'm sure a lot of you guys will enjoy it, but on top of that, I feel like my notifications haven't been sending out to you guys lately, so make sure you turn on my notifications and subscribe and leave a like on the content to help the channel grow. Now that we got all that out of the way, break! Mic check 1 2 1 2. What's going on, everybody? For those of you guys that don't know, Dalvin Cook recently was in a very similar situation to Alvin Kamara because the one thing that they have in common is the fact that Dalvin Cook and Alvin Kamara are both still on rookie scale contracts. However, the one big difference between Dalvin Cook and Alvin Kamara is the fact that, well, with respect to Dalvin Cook, Alvin Kamara has been a little bit more consistent and more dependable as a running back and has put up better numbers throughout his first couple of years in the NFL than Dalvin Cook has. And to get an idea, Alvin Kamara literally has only missed 3 games throughout his entire career in the NFL, whereas Dalvin Cook has played in 29 games, Alvin Kamara has played in 45 games, and subsequently Alvin Kamara has put up significantly better stats. So while it did make a lot of sense for Dalvin Cook to eventually show up to his training camp, it makes a lot more sense for Alvin Kamara to be holding out, but at the same time it does not, and I'll tell you why. First of all, it's very important to realize that the Carolina Panthers were able to already sign probably the best running back prospect out of the entire 2017 NFL draft class, Christian McCaffrey, to a huge 4-year, $64 million extension this offseason. And when that happens, typically other running backs, especially running backs that share the same draft class, might begin to think, okay, it's time to put on a little bit of pressure onto my team in order to get that security that I really covet in a contract. And it's very important for a running back to secure a big contract, especially in the NFL, because that's something that isn't typically guaranteed. Only the cream of the crop in running backs are typically able to hold down a huge contract, and very few of them prove to be worth the big contract that they get. I usually like to mention Todd Gurley and Le'Veon Bell, and as much as I hate to admit it as a Cowboy fan, I still think that the Ezekiel Elliott contract was a little bit overly inflated. And only time will tell what's going to happen with Christian McCaffrey and his contract, because typically when you sign a running back to a huge contract, more often than not, you don't see a good return on your investment. The running back market is a very difficult market to put your finger on and to figure out. But without a doubt, they're very, very important parts of an NFL offense, especially in 2020. So things get even more stickier than this because, one, Alvin Kamara does deserve a brand new contract. If Christian McCaffrey gets a new contract, then definitely Alvin Kamara deserves one as well, considering how important he is to the New Orleans Saints offense. The Saints are a completely different team without Kamara out there, but there's just one huge problem. Now, officially, according to Adam Schefter, Alvin Kamara has been out of practice for the past 3 practices from the New Orleans Saints, and it's presumed to be over his contract situation. However, a few weeks ago, when Alvin Kamara was asked about his contract situation with the Saints, he had this to say: "It'll happen when it happens. It's never been something like I didn't come into the NFL thinking about like, oh, I can't wait till I get a contract. It's like I'm playing, and when that comes, it's going to be well-deserved, and it's going to be perfect timing for it. It's just not something that's at the forefront of my day. It's not something I wake up thinking about." Now, I'm not sure what changed at this point, but there's a bigger problem at the surface. Alvin Kamara is definitely worth somewhere in between Christian McCaffrey's contract, which is $16 million per year, and Derrick Henry's contract, which is $12.5 million per year. But the biggest issue right now is he is holding out for money that the New Orleans Saints clearly do not have. At this moment, the New Orleans Saints have about $7.5 million in salary cap space this year. And they're going to have a ton of salary cap limitations next year if the league-wide cap drops significantly because of the revenue that was lost due to the pandemic. And the salary cap is set to drop tremendously. If most of the teams aren't going to have fans in the stands, then that's a huge chunk of revenue that the NFL is going to miss out on. Now, the NFL's 2021 cap is projected to drop as low as $175 million per team, and it's currently at about $198.2 million per team in 2020. And here's the craziest part, and probably the worst part: the Saints rank second in the NFL with $246.6 million in salary cap commitments for 2021. And probably the worst part of all this is the Saints still have to sign players like Marshawn Lattimore, Ryan Ramczyk, and Demario Davis, all which are very important members of their team and all that were drafted in the 2017 NFL draft class. At least Lattimore and Ramczyk were, alongside Alvin Kamara. So if you happen to have been one of the unlucky individuals that drafted Leonard Fournette and Alvin Kamara in your NFL fantasy football league, then dude, I am so sorry. That really sucks. But if you want to know my opinion, if you want to get my input on how I think things are going to shake out between the Saints and Kamara, this is what I think is going to end up happening. Alvin Kamara is probably going to return to practice within the next week. I have no doubt about it. The Saints desperately need him for their matchup against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and I think the most he could do is make a statement saying, hey, New Orleans Saints, I really want a new contract. And if he doesn't get that new contract this year, which I think Saints fans, you should prepare for the possibility of Alvin Kamara leaving in free agency, not because he's going to be unhappy in New Orleans, but I just don't see a way that the Saints could find a way to sign him potentially. You're not going to give him the franchise tag, are you? And if you do, that means you're going to possibly lose out on players like Lattimore or Ramczyk, and there's just so much talent on the New Orleans Saints, and there's only so much money that can go around. But that's my personal input on what I think is going to go on. Let me know in the comment section down below. Do you agree? Do you think this is going to be a thing throughout the season where Alvin Kamara may hold out into the season? Or do you think within a couple of days he's going to return to practice and things are going to be business as usual between Alvin Kamara and the New Orleans Saints? I'm your boy Mike, and I'm dropping our mic until our next upload.